They have engineered extinction. The goal is to destroy America's resources and the world's resources. The United Nations has a philosophy, very simple: food is power. We use it to control behavior. We do not apologize. They want to reduce the population by whatever means possible. The United Nations folks said food is power. We use it to control behavior. We do not apologize. Well, they can sure do that too, you know. What if a famine hits a country? They want everybody to move into the city where they can control them a little better. Well, let's just have food distribution because of the famine. But of course, we're going to do it where we want you to come. You come to us to get the food. Been dictators who want to work that way. You know, they want to accomplish a goal. If you got to kill some innocent people in the meantime, oh well. You know, if you have to blow up the Twin Towers to get your bill passed, you know, oh well, let's blow up the Twin Towers. Innocent people don't matter. Charles Wooster, who works for the Environmental Defense Fund, said people are the cause of all the problems. We have too many of them. We need to get rid of some of them. Of course, he's not in the ones that need to go. And they were talking about banning DDT, which had some problems, of course, but was very effective at what it did. But here they were talking about banning DDT, and Wooster said, well, if we ban DDT, it will help lower the population of people. Interesting. Bill Clinton, spelled with a K intentionally there because of his communist leanings, Bill Clinton signed the Biodiversity Treaty in 1993, which says, we must either reduce Earth's human population to 1 billion or reduce the standard of living to an agrarian peasant status. On the planet, they would like to reduce the population to 1 billion or make everybody a peasant. The United States was divided up years ago to protect the biodiversity, you know, to protect the animals. And this map shows the proposed biodiversity impact. The red areas are for animals only. No humans allowed, period. The yellow areas are for buffer zones to protect the animals. You can go in the yellow area if you have a special pass. Green areas are for humans. It goes back to the animal rights, you know, mentality. Prince Philip said, if I could be reincarnated, I would wish to return to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. You say, man, that's terrible. Well, especially when you consider he's got a huge majority holding in ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, which is one of the largest food distributors in the world.
265 million people could face acute food shortages by the end of the year. That is double last year's projections. CBS's Deborah Patta has more.
This is what hunger looks like when it spills over into the streets. A food stampede in Kenya's largest slum, leaving scores injured and 2 dead. White flags waved by defeated families in Peru, signaling to authorities they've run out of supplies. A mile-long line for food in India, where workers wait in the hot sun. Protests in Lebanon as food prices surge uncontrollably. Even in the richest countries, the virus has left people hungry, but for the world's poor, it means starvation. Like South Africa, where a national lockdown has led to a sudden loss of work and hunger for millions.
You're going to see it at a Walmart before you see it anywhere else. I'm opening some of the doors because it is hard to see, but there is nothing in these coolers. I mean, you have a few cartons of milk. Over here, all the cheese is pretty much gone. So, in my opinion, this is a very, very, very bad sign.
just gonna be very blunt with you. Things have already gotten quite crazy, but they are gonna get even crazier. Global food supplies have already gotten tight, but they are gonna get even tighter. When even the UN starts using the word biblical to describe the famine that the world is facing, that is a sign that the hour is very late. Thankfully, we are not facing famine in the short term here in the United States, but temporary shortages of certain items have already been popping up, and food prices are aggressively shooting higher. Earlier today, my wife stopped by the grocery store to pick up a couple of things, and one particular item that used to cost about $12 was now $20 instead. But thanks to the Federal Reserve, this is about as low as food prices are going to get. The Fed seems absolutely determined to crank up inflation, and that is going to have very serious implications during the times that are ahead. The overwhelming demand that we're witnessing at food banks around the nation right now gives us some clues about what we can expect as economic conditions get even worse. In Alameda County, vehicles are lining up as early as 7 in the morning just to get a little bit of food from the local food banks. On the East Coast, we're seeing similar things happen. In fact, there was a quarter-mile line at the break of dawn at a food bank in Queens on Saturday. The line stretched a quarter mile before the sun was barely up Saturday, snaking around corners like bread lines in the 1930s. But the hungry in Queens are today's New Yorkers, left jobless by the coronavirus. Until the pandemic struck the city, La Jornada Food Pantry used to hand out groceries to roughly 1,000 families a week. Now, the figure tops 10,000, and volunteers serve lunch every day to 1,000, many of them kids with growling stomachs. Across the 5 boroughs, the hungry number in the hundreds of thousands, the Food Bank of New York estimates. I found it interesting that the New York Post is comparing what's happening now to the bread lines of the 1930s. This is the reality of what people are facing. So many people are already in desperate need. This perfect storm is just getting started. This is how desperate some people in America have already become. And as I noted at the beginning of this article, the United Nations is using the word biblical to describe the famine and starvation that's coming all around the world. The following comes from CNBC. Famines of biblical proportions are becoming a serious risk as the coronavirus crisis threatens to double the number of people nearing starvation, a United Nations body has warned. In projections released Tuesday, the UN's World Food Programme, WFP, predicted that the number of people facing acute food insecurity stood to rise to 265 million by the end of this year, up from 135 million in 2019.
What you're looking at here in this Fife warehouse is about 1,200 pallets of food.
The purpose of this is to provide sort of a reservoir for shelf-stable food that is entering the system to support our hunger prevention efforts around the state.
Derek Sanderson, director of the Washington State Department of Agriculture, toured the state's new COVID strategic reserve on Friday. Within 48 hours of communities asking for help, these pallets can be placed on trucks and distributed to food pantries across the state. The focus is on stockpiling foods like canned vegetables, peanut butter, items that don't spoil easily. During the early days of the pandemic, they were also hard to come by at times as folks hoarded items, left store shelves bare, and disrupted the supply chain.
Extremely high demand. We're competing with every other state. We're competing in some cases with national organizations that are trying to, feed America.
And there's the key, ladies and gentlemen. We are competing with all the other states. Heck, we're even competing with federal agencies to try and buy up as much food as quickly as we can. We've been doing it for months now, since mid-April. And we did it all secretly, without telling you. so that you couldn't get prepared. In fact, moreover, we told you not to get prepared. We told you that that you should not, really, you should think about it, because you'll be inconveniencing other people if you start stockpiling. We told you you would have bean buyer's remorse if you were so dumb as to go out and buy beans thinking you might need food. Thanks, NPR. Can you believe the duplicitousness of these people, that out of one corner of their mouth, they tell you you should be ashamed if you try and take care of your family, while with the other hand, they're out buying up as much food as they can, competing with all the other states. Look at this. They've spent $6.1 million over these last few months on 4,000 pallets of food. And importantly, only a quarter of those have even arrived yet. That's why there's no food there. That's why if you go try and back order stored food, it's not going to come for months now, because all the other states and federal agencies have ordered millions of dollars of it, and it's already on back order even for them. Can you believe this? This is why there are canned food shortages. They told you it was because of you buying too many cans. That's why you can't have your beer now or your cherry Coke. We read these releases. It's because you bought too much canned food. No, it's because they're spending millions of dollars per state to stock all this food up away from you. This is why I'm hearing from purchasing managers on the floor of big retail establishments who say, I don't get it, Christian. I'm putting in orders for X and Y and Z, and I'm getting half of an X and a tenth of a Y, and I didn't even get any Z. What the hell's going on here? No one even has answers for me at corporate. Well, now we know. Now we see what's going on behind the scenes. They've hijacked the supply chain. They're hoovering it up into these warehouses because, as we just read from the Rockefeller Foundation, they want to dismantle the entire food system in America. They want people to depend on these neighborhood nutritional insurance programs. They want you to be on EBT and SNAP benefits and all these things because it makes you dependent on the system. They see food as part of this universal basic income, and they want everybody to be on it.
Before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision.
We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on. And an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm.
of the world. Senator, thank you. Senator Gravel, same question. Other than Iraq, three most important enemies to the United States.
We have no important enemies. What we need to do is to begin to deal with the rest of the world as equals, and we don't do that. We spend more as a nation on defense than all the rest of the world put together. Who are we afraid of? Who are you afraid of? I mean, it is unbelievable. The military-industrial complex not only controls our government, lock, stock, and barrel, but they control our culture.
Senator Edwards, same question. Other
Okay,
than
that's
Iraq,
enough for you.
Three most...
I hate your fucking guts, but I love you all so much. Sometimes you make me overcome with greed, but you're everything I need.
I got higher education for you, vaccinations for you, and all kinds of experimental medications for you. I got professors and doctors, indoctrinated kids, and media outfits to tell you just how great it is. We concentrated it, now you must depend upon banking institutions integrated with the Pentagon. It's been said we spread malice and greed, but the benefits are limitless. We got everything you need. While you were sleeping, we came and took it all away. Yeah, you can bet the farm on that. You never saw us creeping, and that's how it is gonna stay. That's why they say, that's why they say, that's why they say.
Military-industrial complex.
That's what they say.
But I love you all so much.
I depend upon you every single day.
You make me overcome with greed.
But
you're everything everything I need. Everything I need. You're everything I need. And I can't stand it. I can't stand it. You're the only one that can make me leave my home. It's like you got a gun pointed directly at my dome. It's a game they say, and most who play they wound up torn. And it's been that way before we all were born.
who you gonna believe? Kooky conspiracy theorists who shit's been discredited just cause we said it is? I know we've been known to deceive, but we've improved upon our record. Just take our word for it and you're sedative. You're inevitably headed towards a filthy, dirty state. Your name is THX 1138. Whether you like it or not, I'm George Orwell's ghost, hosting a party, exposing a plot. I'm talking about heat, giving you a warning to duck. As Big Daddy Kane, man, don't tell you I warm it up. Queen's finest is infamous for giving niggas stitches. Ask Cool G, I'm on the road to delicious riches. My philosophies coincide with Chris's in so many ways. Stop the violence and kill the disses. We've been saying that shit for nearly 30 years. Still we got more mothers than ever crying mercy tears.
Military-industrial complex.
I hate your fucking guts.
That's what they say.
But I love you all so much.
I depend upon you every single day.
You make me overcome with greed.
What?
Everything
Knowledge is dangerous, potentially when used in the wrong fashion. Wisdom is safety. Distinguish between knowledge and wisdom. Please, the more knowledge you attain without benefiting from wisdom or attainment, the less you really know. it's wrong. It's a big bowl of wrong. It has to stop, otherwise we're doomed. Maybe it'll just be another revolution and people's gonna die. People will perish regardless. The less the better. The more wisdom, the safer you are. The more knowledge, you're in peril if you don't use it correctly. With wisdom comes the ability to utilize your knowledge more efficiently and strategically. Shoot for the stars, my people, and be happy if you hit the moon.
Nobody does it like OTT TV.